Hey guys, George here. Um, Today I want to bring to you a video about a question that Neil Yulin asked the community on YouTube um, a while ago. And the question was, how comfortable are you stacking a 9-1 leader with your troops? And kind of thought about it for a while, and I did answer. And I may have provided a very lengthy answer, but ultimately, what I'm trying to prove here is that you shouldn't be hesitant to stack a 9-1 leader um, with your troops. And in fact, um, leaders with negative modifiers should be at the point of uh, your attack, or um, your best asset in a good defense. But at all times, you need to be careful how to deploy such leaders. So I'll begin with my first example, and with respect to um, what do I mean by that? So in this particular example, you have to be aware of the terrain from which you will deploy, and uh, you be conscious of your opponent's OB, what assets they have to um, wreck you, to make a long story short. So here's the example. Let's say we have a 9-1 leader. I'm going to focus in here. Try and focus so you can see a little bit better. So you have a 9-1 leader. Let's give this person a name, a fictitious name, right? Uh, yeah, let's call him Ernst. Okay. So you have Leader Ernst, Lieutenant Ernst, or Private Ernst here. Okay, and let's at the same time see what a killer stack is. Okay, a killer stack would be having your elite squad. I'm going to clone this fellow, make two of them. Two elite squads with two LMGs. So let's clone this one, clone this one. All right. So right here we have 5 plus 3 is 8 firepower factors. However, the full firepower factors will be effective within a 4 hex range, and um, at a at a maximum of 8, you will have 3 plus 2.5 is 5. It will go 4 on the infantry fire table at long range. So you can either have, with them combined, 16 firepower factors within a 4 hex range, or 8 at long distance. However, the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that both of these assets have spraying fire because their range is underlined. So they can conceivably fire into 2 adjoining hexes. And of course, their firepower is area fire unless it's point blank. So you're looking at between 8 and 16 firepower factors. Now let's consider this scenario. you have 2, 4, 6, 7s. And the other thing you need to keep in mind here is that during advancing fire, okay, what is going to happen is because their firepower is underlined, you'll have 2.5 fractions rounded up 3, 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. So during advancing fire, you can conceivably have up to 12 firepower factors with this stack. Whereas these guys do not have advancing fire. And let's clone them and clone them. So the maximum firepower factor, though, with this squad and that squad, within a 6 hex range, will be 14. 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 doubled is 14. And since there's no 14 on the infantry fire table, they'll go down to 12 as opposed to 16. But this will be at a 6 hex range. And uh, at a double the range, up to 12, they'll have, this will be 2 and 1.5, makes 3.5, 3.5 and 3.5, makes 7, will be 6 firepower factors. But at a longer range, two hexes or up to 12 hexes away. All that to say is you have to be careful how you stack and with whom you stack, not only your leader, but with your weapon and squad combinations. Now let's say, going back to our example of how you should deploy everyone and how to deploy your leaders, let's say these folks here are on the attack and they're starting here. They start from somewhere over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, using non-assault movement. And their opponent will be just a lonely 447 squad. We can duplicate this, guys. These guys are here for, instead of using the counter tray. So now let's put the pizza on the board. Although I don't necessarily need them. Mortars don't cower because they fire on the 2 hit table, but the squad can cower if they're not with the leader. So let's see if Tupitsov is going to prove more useful than Ernst. And the example can go either way because I don't control the dice. Tupitsov. There's Tupitsov right there. And Tupitsov, somehow, the player, deployed him here on the hill. I don't even know if they have line of sight. I didn't check line of sight. All right, movement phase. They're just coming on board. 1 to there. 2, using non-assault movement. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is a juicy, what they call a juicy killer stack, right? They have 8 morale, 9 with the leader. The leader himself has 9 morale. And what is that lonely 447 squad going to do? And in terms of firepower, 16 firepower factors within a 4 hex range, and at an 8 hex range, we said that they have assault fire, so it's at least 8. Within a 4 hex range. You don't have assault fire outside of normal range. I'm drinking some coffee, guys. Keeps the brain stimulated. Anyway, it's the German movement phase. Tupitsov spots Ernst popping his head out of the woods. Let's see, do we have line of sight? We do. It's clear. Oh, wow. At an 8 hex range, we fire with the mortar, and basically the mortar, using area fire, is 7 to hit, and -1 for first fire non-assault movement makes it an 8. All right, 8 to hit. Let's see what that gives us. Exactly 8. However, however, um, we don't have rate. If it was the other way around, I would have had a second shot on these guys. So the mortar is a 50, so that's 6. So now we got a 2 minus 1 shot. 2 firepower factors minus 1 to my dice roll. Let's see what we get there. 7 on the 2. Missed. So we leave some resids. Now the infantry can fire um, as well. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just within maximum range. So that would be 2 firepower factors. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, because I'm firing at long distance. 2 flat, plus 1 for the woods, minus 1 for first fire non-assault movement. Let's see a second shot what happens. 2 flat. 2 and 2 is a K1. All that from a lonely 447 Russian squadron and 770 leader. I couldn't make these things up. A K1. So now comes random selection. 1, 2, 3. Right, leader first. 1, 2, 3. So leader is wounded. And now we have to go for a wound check. 5, 6 is eliminated. Is eliminated. Now comes the other horror. Uh, so we have a 1 morale check for the survivors, so we need 7 or less. Bottom guy breaks. And now we have a leader lost morale check because his morale is 9. Now, there are some folks that argue that this fellow, at the time that he was eliminated, he was actually an 8 morale. So these troops don't have to go through a leader lost morale check. But apparently, there's conflicting Q&A on that. Don't quote me on it, but there is. So there are some folks that play it with as if he was still a 9, and there are some folks that play it as if he became an 8 and then shot himself. So I'm, for the sake of this example, to show you how, this can unfold into a very tragic event. We'll do the leader lost morale check, starting with the good order squad first. Morale check. Passes and passes. So they came out of it virtually unscathed. Um, virtually unscathed. One leader busted. And it wasn't because he was stacked on the 548 that he was eliminated. Um, it was because they maybe could have been a little bit more cautious. I thought it would have made a difference. There's not much you can do against Snake Eyes. But wait a second. Oh, he didn't cower. He was leader directed. Yeah. I mean, the leader cannot apply any leadership DRM to the mortar shot, so he didn't cower. That's the other thing we gotta watch out about Snake Eyes. Anywho, um, the reason why he got eliminated is instead of stopping here and advancing into this hex, so he can exert his firepower or make a move to uh, out the door, or try and get closer without getting into a firefight, he advanced into this hex using non-assault movement. Simple as that. It wasn't because I stacked them with 548s. So the two moral stories here is you need to be cognizant of of how you deploy the leader and the OB, the opposing OB. So in this case, we knew that the Russians had mortars. And whenever you expect to get into a firefight with a mortar, woods, because of airburst, is not your friend. This is probably the first time I've ever executed an example and it worked like magic. Now, the other thing I can be in your OB is one of these jokers. And that joker is a 10 minus 3 leader. And modern scenarios don't have 10 minus 3 leaders. If you want to see that joker around, you play something that has been converted by Jim Steller from classic to advanced squad leader. 10 minus 3, man. I remember watching a video with 2.5 squads with Carl, um, Carl, last name I can't pronounce it, damn it. It'll come to me. They were creating Dinan, and they wanted to reflect how they should reflect Rommel with what counter, and they were thinking of 10 minus 3, and they ultimately decided that 10 minus 3 wouldn't work. So let's see, let's see how it does or doesn't work. All right, and this time we're gonna, let's put in here Rommel, what the heck, name, Rommel. All this ain't gonna fly on anything. Should we put them with 4.36s? Nah, let's put them with 4.67s. Clone. LMGs are good, so we'll put them with LMGs as well. There you go. So we got this stack. And let's put them on board. Let's put these guys here. Now let's get our famous leader. No, that guy is not good. Another leader. There you go. Let's clone him first. Call him Zukov. I like Georgy Zukov. All right, there's Zukov. He's with 4.58s, man. Elite Russian NKVD or what have you, elite squads. I'll clone him. They're probably Ukrainian for all I care. Or all I know. Clone. Let's clone him again. Okay. So we got Zukov versus Rommel. Where are these boys going to go? Let's put them up here somewheres. Well, not somewheres. There's the Pitsov. All right, here's how it's going to work. So these guys here, um, these guys here are guarding they're guarding this. Okay, these boys are guarding the church. It's not really a church because churches have steeples, so it's city hall. Yeah. I wonder what the Soviets did with churches in Russia. Probably converted them to museums like Erdogan does with Byzantine churches. They either become mosques or museums. Anywho. All right, then. Um, it says movement phase, it says defensive fire phase. And he simply assault moves there. If it's not a non-assault movement, we're doomed. Because then he'll have, with his firepower and DRM, either a 12 flat or a 12 down 1. So if I assault move to there, it will be 12 flat. And if I non-assault moved into here, although it's a stone building, his -3 DRM negates the protection of an entire stone building. And in addition, they get a -1 DRM. So let's see how that works out. 12. Well, we'll go with the 12 flat and see if the -1 makes a difference. Well, 6 on a 12 is a 2MC, and a 5 on the 12 is a 2MC. So if you're going up against one of these babies, you really have to be careful. And how you can abate that, I suppose, is if you team up 2 9-1 leaders, advance into the hex, and then try and take this guy out, you'll have at least you can apply so what I'm saying is if there's a clone like this and two fire groups like this, these guys can fire group together and they use the lowest leader DRM, he's going to be in a world of hurt. Let's delete these guys and resolve that example. That was a 2 check. So now we go and do our 2 check, leader first. 8 plus 2 is 10, he breaks, but he's not eliminated. Did I get raped on that previous shot? No. Oh well. Then 2 6s, still have 1 survivor, and then the surviving unit takes a leader lost task check because he only broke and passed. Unfortunately, the leader broke in both instances. In one instance, he wounded, which was really bad. In this case, he broke, but it's not the end of the line. And these boys will be able to fire back at not much, not much firepower. Would it have been worse if I didn't have a leader? Would have been better or worse. I guess if the leader didn't break, though, it would have been much harder for even a 10-3 leader to break everybody there. Yeah. The other thing you have to take into consideration is your ELR as well. That makes a difference. The other thing that's important to note is that they can route back if this guy wasn't here, or they could stay where they are, So, know your troop types, and your own troop types are important as well. And what I mean by that is that if you have a 9-1 leader and a 7-0 leader, okay, you're better off leading your best order of squads with this fellow, and with your conscripts, you can stack your conscripts with a 7-0 leader for mobility sakes to afford them more movement than 3 movement factors. So what did we cover here? Troop type, know your opposition, terrain, whether you're you're on the attack or defense. I'll briefly talk about that one, and also your movement factors. And we also provided a kill stack example. So what do I mean by attack or defense is if you are defending and you have one or more leaders with a -1 DRM, the morale could be a 9 or an 8, it doesn't matter, is that if you have the opportunity to form fire groups with 2 or more leaders with a -1 DRM, I guess I could clone Zuko again, and I'm just repeating the example I did before. This group has 6 plus 6 is 12, 24 firepower factors here and there, with a -1 DRM because you got the Zukov twins here directing fire against this dude. That's more or less, that's how I feel about 9-1 leaders and stacking them with troops. Just to um, make a summary, a quick summary, and a quick conclusion. Um, that what I'm trying to say is that you should not hesitate to stack 9-1 leaders with your best troops and your best support weapons. However, you have to be mindful as to how to deploy them, and I guess that goes with everything. But since a 9-1 leader is your best asset, you should um, deploy them well and know how to um, use them and know what the negative consequences that can arise um, be. Because if you're not aware of the negative consequences that can arise, you'll lose that leader and you probably might end up uh, losing the game as well. So that's my conclusion. That's my video for today. 26 minutes. A a fellow YouTuber asked why why it took 20 minutes to talk about um, why I love Advanced Squad Leader. I guess I had a lot to say about it, a lot of justification to be made, but I did kind of think of 5 different reasons why and some supporting evidence. And a lot of folks say that it's a life-changing game and it can take you away from your loved ones and your pets and whatnot. I think that's true for any hobby that you may have. Unfortunately, unfortunately, time is very precious. And regardless of whether you're playing Advanced Squad Leader or another game like Combat Commander or I don't know what other games are being played out there, old school tactical. If you get too embroiled in it, forget it. You really have to set goals for yourself, keep those goals to the best of your ability, and live life to the fullest. That being said, I'm having a coffee. I already had breakfast. Uh, I'm doing my laundry, and I'm going to take the older fellow out for to practice driving. And later tonight, I don't have a advanced squad leader day, so I do have games 6 days out of the week, and there are some breaks in between here and there. Uh, Volunteering for this my son's school and trying to do some good work there for not only for my son but for the entire school board and the entire school. You know, that's all I can say. And as for the channel, it has now grown to 800 subscribers. And at 800 subscribers and some videos with 1,000 views, it has gone surpassed past my wildest dreams. Um, so I don't know what to say other than thank you so much and for liking and subscribing. And I appreciate all of you, whether you are subscribers or not. Take care. Have a great weekend. And good luck to both teams on the Super Bowl. I'm rooting for Kansas City, by the way. Take care.